It's Charles Barkley with Wayfair. It's outdoor season, and my patio setup better be ready to play. That's where Wayfair wins. Patio seating, umbrellas, and grills, all delivered fast and easy. Shop wayfair.ca now.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Volkswagen.
Montreal, the everyday and the extraordinary. The Elias Macco Show on CJAD 800.
Shirley Mason sitting in for Elias again this week, talking about Raddar. Here in Quebec, we call it Raddar or radar. It has, nothing new to us here because it replaced the Publisac that we used to get at our doors quite a while ago. The Raddar Flyer package is put into our mailbox by Canada Post. What you might not have known is that TC Transcontinental has extended the Raddar concept almost right across the country now. It did it in May. And what local media outlets, local publications are saying is they're feeling the effects almost immediately because stores that used to deliver their flyers as part of these local publications are now switching to the Raddar package and are depriving the newspapers of revenue. Here to help us understand more about the impact this is having on the ground, we welcome Paul Deegan, President and Chief Executive Officer of News Media Canada. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Trudy. It's a pleasure to be on CJAD with you.
How, first of all, tell us who you're representing here, News Media Canada. Tell us about that operation.
So News Media Canada represents about 550 news titles across Canada. So everything from the Globe and Mail and Toronto Star and, Post Media down to very small community newspapers.
So this is now a national conversation that we had here in Quebec a while back when the city of Montreal and other jurisdictions started banning unsolicited door-to-door flyer delivery in the form of the Publisac. They really wanted the Publisac to go because every door got one. It often ended up in recycle bins, unwanted. It polluted. The papers would blow around off at doorsteps. A number of problems. So the city of Montreal was looking at this and saying, no, we don't like this concept. Other municipalities too. So we switched to Raddar, and we ended up having the same conversations about local publications. How dire is this now becoming just in the months since May elsewhere in Canada?
So it's become very dire. So around mid-June, really, publishers started feeling the pinch across Canada. And for example, in Winnipeg, there's a newspaper called the Community Review, which is a free distribution newspaper. It's distributed by 800 carriers across the city. It's got a weekly circulation of 200,000 copies. So this is a big community newspaper, the largest in Manitoba, and it has since shuttered. And the reasons why it shuttered is its flyer revenue basically just fell off a cliff overnight. And so the way the news business works for the free distribution newspapers, which is how many Canadians get their news, is that the ads inside the newspaper pay for the journalism, but the flyers that come with the newspaper essentially pay for the distribution cost. So without the flyers, they weren't able to offset the distribution cost. And unfortunately, that newspaper is now out of business. And 800 people in Winnipeg who would have delivered that newspaper are no longer doing so. So it's really had a major impact across the country. And we're calling on Minister Joel Lightbound, the minister responsible for Canada Post, to offer newspapers the same delivery rates that TC is being offered with their Raddar product. So I want to be clear, our issue is not with TC or with Raddar. Our issue is with Canada Post, and we believe that the relationship with Canada Post should be one of partnership, and unfortunately it seems to be more predatory and parasitic these days.
Well, there's a big piece in La Presse about this issue and talking about how it looks as though TC Transcontinental got a little bit of a sweetheart deal for delivery. Is that the perception as well of your organization?
I don't know if it's, sweetheart or not. I don't know. But what I do know is we should be offered the same rates as TC. So if you're looking at sort of, let's say, a comparable size newspaper, comparable weight to the Raddar product, we should be offered the same rate as them. TC obviously is a very large company. Raddar has huge volume across the country. Many of our community newspapers are independently owned, but when you add us all up across the country, would put out huge volume for Canada Post. And all we're saying to Canada Post is give us the same rate that you're offering to TC. And it's interesting because you've got, on the one hand, the Department of Canadian Heritage under Minister Mark Miller has done lots of terrific stuff for the news sector. We've got a labor tax credit. We've got the local journalism initiative. We've got all of these programs which are very helpful and supportive. The problem is, on the other hand, you've got Canada Post, which is essentially putting a stick in the spokes, and it's really working at cross purposes to what the Department of Canadian Heritage is doing. So we want Minister Miller and Minister Lightbound, we want to meet with them and basically direct Canada Post to just treat us the same way that they're treating Transcontinental.
The La Presse is saying that they went to Canada Post and said, "Give us your rates. What are you charging?" "Oh, we can't tell you. That's confidential. Or the deal that we have with TC Transcontinental." So it may take ministerial intervention here because Canada Post is saying this is a trade secret, basically. So you wouldn't be able to know if you're getting a decent rate unless they disclose what they're charging Transcontinental.
Yeah, what we do know, because people talk, it's a small industry. We believe that we're paying somewhere between 50 to 100% more than TC is on a comparable package. That's what we hear. If Canada Post has evidence to the contrary, they should come clean and share that. But we really need them to treat the news sector fairly. Canada Post, they paid themselves bonuses last year of $30 million. They lost $1.5 billion, and we want them to treat us fairly.
Canada Post is also saying things like, "Oh, well, we adjust our tariffs depending on the volume of the item being delivered, the weight, Are you buying that there's any significant difference? When you're talking about comparable weight, is it as easy to handle a community style newspaper as it is to handle the Raddar package?
It certainly is. And look, we understand in terms of size and weight, and that's fair. And but we've got huge volume. When you add up all of the community newspapers across the country, we're talking about millions of pieces each week. And all we're saying to Canada Post is give us the same rate. Now, we don't believe they will give us the rate, which is why we need the intervention of Ministers Miller and Lightbound to make sure we're treated fairly. All we want is a fair shot to compete. But to be very clear, Canada Post has been trying to squeeze newspapers out of the flyer delivery business for 30 years. George Radwanski, when he did the mandate review of Canada Post back in the mid-1990s, he warned of this. So this is an issue that's been going on for 30 years. And again, Canada Post should not be predatory vis-a-vis newspapers. They should not be deploying anti-competitive practices. We just want an opportunity to compete fairly with Canada Post on flyer delivery.
It really, I do find it mind-boggling, not just on a business level about predatory practices, but in this day and age, when we're talking about the need for local journalism, for supporting, can I say, journalism sovereignty within Canada, to support our own storytellers, our own, investigative journalists, to not understand how important that is and just offer a fair deal, it boggles my mind that Canada Post would have to be prodded to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look, at the hebdos in Quebec, Trudy, for example, they're covering, sort of cops, courts, city hall, school boards. This is really important work. And journalism needs to be supported. We've got, obviously, huge pressures now from the big platforms like Google and Meta, but also companies like AI, which are basically stealing our content and summarizing it and passing it on as their own work. So journalism, certainly you've seen on the broadcast side, there's been many, many cuts across the country. So journalism, whether it's, traditional sort of news publishers or the broadcasters, have really been facing pressure from social media companies, from the big tech platforms, from the AI companies. The irony is today, if you were to ask a community newspaper publisher pretty much anywhere in Canada, what's the biggest immediate existential threat to your business today? Is it American big tech companies, or is it Canada Post? I can assure you that their answer would be it's Canada Post. And that's wrong.
It's mind-boggling, too. Paul Deegan, continue fighting the good fight on behalf of all Canadians, please.
We shall. Thanks so much, Trudy. Pleasure being with you.
All right, Paul Deegan, President and Chief Executive Officer of News Media Canada.
It's Charles Barkley with Wayfair. It's outdoor season, and my patio setup better be ready to play. That's where Wayfair wins. Patio seating, umbrellas, and grills, all delivered fast and easy. Shop wayfair.ca now.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio, hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll.
I'm coming to get you.
One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them.
It's only love, and that's all. Bryan Adams Radio. I'm coming back to you. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey everybody, how are you tonight? Sounds great.
Debate, interviews, and breaking news. The Elias Macko Show. News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Well, we had a text in from our listener, Michael Roberts, saying it was raining sideways out his way in Beaconsfield earlier this hour. Hasn't hit where we are in the eastern part of downtown yet. I'd like to hear. You can text us, by the way, 514-790-0800. We are expecting a risk of showers throughout the day and a risk of thunderstorms this afternoon with a high of 28 and a humidex of 34 right now in Montreal. 23 degrees, the humidex at 30. Smoking. Is there a nostalgic feel for smoking these days? Is this now considered retro cool to put a cigarette in your mouth? Seems that some celebrities are willing to be photographed doing it, and other people are kind of embracing the vibe. Maybe you've noticed it in your day-to-day life, more cigarette smoking. Here to tell us more about what she learned while she was putting together a piece for the Washington Post is writer Jessica Goldstein. Jessica, welcome to CJAD 800.
Thank you so much for having me.
So your piece in the Post is titled "Cigarettes Are Back in Vogue. How did this happen?" Tell us about some of the recent signs and the celebrities who have been deliberately pictured, unrepentantly pictured smoking real live cigarettes.
Absolutely. And unrepentantly is a great way of putting it, because I'm sure there are folks who are thinking to themselves, cigarettes never left. But what we're seeing is a shift in the way that smoking is perceived and celebrated, both in popular culture and among people's sort of average social circles. So in the sort of early 2000s, you saw this dip. There was some very effective anti-tobacco campaigns, laws passed, certainly in the United States, preventing smoking in public places, in bars, in restaurants. And there was this wave of time where smoking cigarettes was perceived as a little bit gross, sort of burnout behavior. But now we are in this cigarette smoking upswing. You may have noticed on the March cover of Vanity Fair, Kylie Jenner smoking a cigarette, Hailey Bieber in Interview magazine smoking cigarettes, heated rivalries, Connor Story posing with a cigarette just perched in his mouth while he was getting ready for the Met Gala in GQ. Cigarettes are back kind of at the aspirational cultural center after a brief period of exile to its fringes.
You note in your piece that vaping doesn't have the same vibe. And I once saw somebody, write something along the lines of, when you're vaping, it looks like you're sucking on a car muffler. It's ugly, it's not cool. It doesn't look cool to suck on a vape. In the same way,
is hideous. A vape is hideous. It looks like a plastic pacifier. Like, I think it makes adults look like babies, like sucking down on their vapes. And cigarettes, they are aesthetically quite cinematic. We associate a lot of nostalgic feelings for cigarettes. In my life outside of journalism, I'm a novelist, and I just published a novel called Retro, and it's about this struggling actress who gets a job at a time travel agency that takes wealthy tourists on vacations to the past. And everybody in Retro is addicted to cigarettes. Because once you get before 1994, you can do it anywhere. And I actually think part of the appeal of cigarettes now is that we had this brief window of time where cigarettes weren't as mainstream, and now they have the kind of rosy glow of a bygone era. They feel very 90s, or they feel very Mad Men to people. There's something about them that it evokes the same energy of like listening to something on vinyl instead of listening on your phone. That is how smoking a cigarette feels compared to seeing somebody with a vape, which, again, I think both of these, of course, are very bad for you, but like old movie stars smoking cigarettes in those photos, they look so hot. And I've never seen anyone look hot smoking a vape.
It's, I suppose it's, I hearken back to my smoking days because I smoked for about 10 years, from about 19 to about 29. And at 19, you'd think I was old enough to know better when I started. I was old to start smoking cigarettes. But you do learn the downside. And I wonder if all these celebrities are going to go through the same process that we went through, that I went through, that many of my friends went through who took up smoking. Is you go through the honeymoon period where, oh, it's so cool and look at me and I'm a rebel and, you know, blah, blah, to coughing up your lungs every morning, having your hair stink of cigarette smoke, getting on this happened to me once, got on an elevator. And some stranger said to me, I stepped onto an elevator and a stranger said to me, "Oh, I see you smoke." And from the smell on my clothing and my hair. I think I'm so embarrassed now that I inflicted that on other people. Never mind inflicting the smoking in all these public places, restaurants, and at work. We used to be able to smoke in the newsroom here at the station, gigantic ashtrays piled high with cigarettes. So I think sometimes you have to get past the honeymoon and start getting into the nitty-gritty. Okay, this is what addiction looks like. I smell bad. My health is suffering. My breathing is suffering. I have to address this. Do you think this current trend will follow that pattern?
Well, part of what's interesting about this is in that time where cigarettes sort of took a dip, we were in a kind of wellness wave culturally. It's very like Obama era in the U.S., even though, of course, President Obama, one of our most famous smokers, there was this idea that things were getting better. The world was getting better. Culture was on the upswing. It was a time where people were like taking all of these boutique fitness classes, drink your green juice. There was this energy of, I need to invest in myself and in my health for this bright, shiny future. And as I'm sure you've noticed, that is not the mood of late. And I think a lot of what is driving the rise in this kind of what I would consider sort of careless, cavalier social smoking is like, it feels truly like every day you read the news and it's like, don't go outside today. The sky is orange and the air itself is basically cigarettes. And war abounds and chaos reigns, and there is this nihilism that's like, we're not making things better. Can I just have a cigarette? Like, what are we even doing here? And so to your question of will this stage end, I do think that there is this parallel, this sort of causal relationship where as things in our society, in our government, in our world seem to be falling apart, our desire to take care of ourselves kind of falls apart with it. And that should we be so fortunate for things to turn around, I think we'll see kind of a return to, well, of course I need to take care of myself for the future. The future is actually a place I'm interested in going.
Where I might be able to afford a house and I can pay off my student loan. Yes. And I can do all those things and you know, have an influence in politics maybe. And I I see that argument. I see where you're going with that, Jessica, and I think I agree. The zeitgeist right now is very fatalistic. And
yes.
And I think people are just shrugging their shoulders and say, why not smoke? Everything else is in the dumpster. Why not have a cigarette?
Completely. And there's also this feeling that a lot of modern vices, when you think about like big tech, you think about algorithmic social media, think about microplastics and everything. There is this sense that there's danger everywhere. And a lot of those companies, those corporations are pretending that what they're doing is actually good for us. They're like, don't worry about sports gambling. It's fun. It's harmless. Don't worry about the AI chatbot. It's going to tell you nice stuff. And it feels like it's just being flung at us relentlessly. Whereas some of the social smokers I talk to are like, at least the cigarette is being honest with me. It's a cancer stick that makes you look cool until you die. There's no pretending, oh, this is actually really good for you. Like, you know what you're getting, and you get to opt in. Whereas it's very difficult to navigate modern life without a smartphone. It's hard to leave your house without participating somehow in the surveillance state because everybody's got a Ring doorbell. Like, those things are happening beyond our physical self. And I think there's this control thing with a cigarette where it's like, this is bad for me, but I'm choosing it instead of it being forced upon me.
Jessica Goldstein, contributing reporter for the Washington Post. You can read her piece in the Post. It's called Cigarettes Are Back in Vogue. How did this happen? And Jessica, what's the name of your novel again about the time travel agents who smoke?
Thank you so much. Yes, my novel is called Retro, and it is available wherever books are sold.
Thanks for your time today, Jessica.
Thank you.
When we come back after the update from the newsroom, the death of a cyclist is prompting more debate about the safety of the bike path out on Notre-Dame Street East.
It's Charles Barkley with Wayfair. It's outdoor season, and my patio setup better be ready to play. That's where Wayfair wins. Patio seating, umbrellas, and grills, all delivered fast and easy. Shop wayfair.ca now.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll. One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them.
It's only love, and that's all.
Bryan Adams Radio.
I'm coming back to you.
Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Everybody, how are you tonight? Sounds great.
O'clock. The Elias Macko Show on demand.
On demand. Don't miss a thing.
Find your favorite clips at CJAD800.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
You might think that adding a bike lane to Notre-Dame Street East would be helpful and to prevent all manner of accidents. But what users are saying is, no, it doesn't work that way. There are some very dangerous intersections, and they're saying that there should be a relook at the design of this path. Stay with us. We'll speak to a group that is advocating for the redesign coming up.
Listen wherever, whenever, on your radio. Online at CJAD800.com. On your smart speaker.
Playing CJAD.
Or your phone. Through the iHeartRadio app. Where and when you need us. This is News Talk Radio. CJAD800.
You've heard the chaos. Now you can see it. Oh my gosh. Watch all your favorite podcasts from start to finish right inside the free iHeartRadio app.
Gets the blood going, huh?
Catch every laugh and eye roll on shows like the Tom Green Farmcast and Park the Bus. Now with full video.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
It's the same hosts and the same chemistry with all the hilarious moments you've been missing right on your screen. Cheers. Open the free iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts, and tap watch.
It's Charles Barkley with Wayfair. It's outdoor season, and my patio setup better be ready to play. That's where Wayfair wins. Patio seating, umbrellas, and grills, all delivered fast and easy. Shop wayfair.ca now.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll. We're coming to get you! One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them.
It's only love, and that's all.
Bryan Adams Radio.
I'm coming back to you.
Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey everybody, how are you tonight? Sounds great.
La STN vous souhaite la bienvenue à bord.
Bus, metro, train, drive, in transit is on the Elias Macco Show. CJAD 800.
Trudy Mason sitting in for Elias. The Gazette has done some reporting on calls for safety improvements to a bike lane that actually dates back to the mid-1980s. It runs along Notre-Dame Street from downtown to the East End. Part of it is in a green space alongside Notre-Dame. Part of it is integrated into the sidewalk on the north side of Notre-Dame. And what users have been saying for years is that some of the intersections are simply not safe. The way they channel cyclists into busy traffic, because you know that strip is a major thoroughfare between downtown and the East End. There are lots of industrial activity along the way, so you get a lot of heavy trucks there as well, some of them turning on and off of Notre-Dame. It really is a recipe at the intersections for disaster, and disaster has struck. Last month, fatal accident involving a cyclist. Renewed calls now. There have been other really serious accidents. Here to tell us more, Daniel Chartier of the group Collectif en environnement Mercier-Est. Daniel, thanks for calling.
Thank you very much to hear our request.
Tell us about this bike path. Part of it is quite well protected. You know, it's along that little green space. You know, the side that's integrated in the sidewalk, not so much. But it does seem to be the intersections, the busier intersections, that seem to be the most worrisome. Is that your take as well?
Yeah, it's really awesome to ride in the green area. It's nice. We are under the trees, far from the cars. But when we approach the intersections, most often we arrive with sharp angles, and the turning is really difficult. So, and most important, cyclists can't see cars from away, and cars can see cyclists from a long distance. So they need to reorganize the intersections. But this year, there should be some improvements. Very simple. Remove the dirt. 2 inches of dirt along the crossing at Davidson Street. People on the skateboard block, and the bicycle can slide there because they have to make sharp turns. So that dirt is... remove it. For 1 year, nothing had been done on the dirt.
How did it get there? Like, why is there this layer of dirt at that intersection? Is it landscaping, or was it just left there, dropped there? Or?
It's there from last winter. See, it's there since last winter. It hasn't been removed.
Oh.
At all. For a year, almost a year. And when the trucks ride fast next to us, the dirt is going up and going in the eyes and the lungs. So it's awful. First, remove the dirt.
That would
we
seem...
told them it's stupid. It's easy to do. It hasn't been done yet.
It sounds like a 3-hour job with some blue collar workers and shovels.
Yeah, just a little bit will it would be okay. Secondly, we need to make lines to show the bike path correctly. The best thing would be something rugueux with sand in it. To be sure that the bicycle won't slide.
Oh, like a traction, like paint that has grit in it, so that it provides good traction.
Yeah, to avoid slipping, sliding, making that sharp turn. But it's easy. That also is easy to do. To make it clear, there is a pathway for the cyclist there. And third, for this year, putting the line for the stop of cars a little bit behind, because many cars are stopping and then they wait for their green light and they go ahead, and many of them are blocking the line for the cyclist. Once we saw a car cutting a cyclist very at the last second, and the cyclist was unbalanced, and the guy on the car turned on the right light, the red light.
Oh,
he blocked a cyclist to turn on the red light. So we need to have better signage. In the long term, there should be improvements to make sure the cyclists will be seen more earlier than at the last second. But this should be in 2027. But this year there should be very simple things, and also changing the lights, the cycles of the lights. On the lights, they already changed the cycles, the traffic lights, at Partenay intersections when a policewoman was struck by a car from Hydro-Quebec last October. The truck ride on her legs.
It rolled over her legs. Oh,
the cuisses.
Yeah.
So she's alive by miracle. And there they create a special moment to cross, to be sure to cross the line.
Yeah,
it's
like
cyclist.
an advance light for cyclists to go across, right, before the traffic starts. Okay, I get that. All right.
Because so many, we made a video where we see a lot of cars turning and cutting cyclists. One of the cyclists had 10 years old, and she was on the sidewalk. So his front wheel was inches from the street, and the car just cut her at the last second. The father almost ran into her. Behind her, the father and the younger son behind almost hit her.
Daniel,
because she had to stop so quickly. It's crazy.
It does seem to me, Daniel, that a lot of these things are quick fixes that could be, this is not brain surgery. I understand some of the redesign elements you're proposing when you talk about 2027, 2020. That kind of makes sense. If you're taking berms down to improve the visibility at the intersection, you have to bring heavy equipment in and dig and stuff. But what you're proposing, like cleaning up sand and dirt that's accumulated, that's just common sense. Thank you very much for your time, Daniel. I appreciate the interview.
Thank you very much.
Daniel Chartier, Vice Chair of the Collectif en environnement Mercier-Est. This traffic report, speaking of traffic, is brought to you.
It's Charles Barkley with Wayfair. It's outdoor season, and my patio setup better be ready to play. That's where Wayfair wins. Patio seating, umbrellas, and grills, all delivered fast and easy. Shop wayfair.ca now.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Housing. So what did the province do? It allowed certain cities in certain categories to fast track certain housing development projects, construction projects, without having to go through the sometimes lengthy and sticky process of perhaps putting it to a local referendum. You know, the whole getting around the not in my backyard, the NIMBY approach to development. So this has been used by a number of cities, including the city of Montreal. Lidevoir has looked into this, these expanded powers to fast-track housing projects. Supporters are saying this is exactly what we need to address the housing shortage and to improve affordability of housing. Critics, though, say that when you concentrate more decision-making power in municipal hands, well, you know, transparency will suffer and neighborhood input will suffer when public consultation is given short shrift. Here to tell us more about this phenomenon from the Ordre des urbanistes de Québec is Lise Walczak. Lise, welcome to CJAD 800.
Hello, Tracy. Thanks for having me.
Give us a crash course in this change that the province introduced that gives, you know, the cities these quote-unquote superpowers.
Yes, exactly. Well, back in 2024, the government introduced a new power to fast-track the approval of residential projects as a response to the housing crisis we're facing here in Quebec, and this is a huge crisis. But here's what new since this May. The Quebec government has now decided to make this superpower permanent while removing some of the safeguards that came with it. You just said that some cities can use it. Now it's every city can use it through the urban planning law.
What is your overall thought about this measure? Is it needed in Quebec? Will it do what it is hoped it will do, which is encourage the development of more housing and improve affordability?
Well, we do think that the benefits are clear. Like the tool is popular among the municipalities because it helps fast-track more than 20,000 housing units across Quebec. So that's not nothing in the middle of a huge crisis. So yes, we are building more housing, and they help fast-track affordable and social housing projects. But it was also used to fast-track high-head condos, for example, or housing that do not help answer or resolve the housing crisis. For example, if we look at the vacancy rates for the most affordable rental units, it remains very low. So this shows that the real challenge is not just building more housing, but making sure that we are creating housing that people can actually afford. And the reality is that affordability remains a major challenge in Quebec.
Do you think then that either the cities or the province should tweak this process that, you know, because I assume that is not what they wanted, is for developers just to present projects with really expensive high-end condos to be built. They wanted maybe mixed projects or lower income or affordable projects. Do the regulations have to be tighter?
Yes, kind of. We do think like the regulations might be tighter. Like, for example, we hope that municipalities will adopt their own policy framework. Like, for example, by defining the type of residential projects that are eligible for the superpower. I think some of the districts in the city of Montreal did that. Like, for example, the Plateau Mont-Royal district and the Rosemont district put like some policy frameworks saying that. So I think that's one of the avenue that can be that can be here to help the affordability crisis.
Any other suggestions, Lise? Is there anything, for example, that cities or the province haven't looked at yet that the urbanists think should be looked at as a way to address the housing crisis?
That's a very good question. I think we have to remember that urban planning is kind of a long-term strategy. So if we only focus on building as quickly as possible, we risk creating problems that will last for decades. And that matters to all of us, because good urban planning is about creating communities that are coordinated, well planning, built to last, whether we are in cities, suburbs, or rural areas. So, for example, when we focus only on housing, we can we can end up creating other problems, starting with traffic congestion, overload infrastructure, public service that can keep up in cities, transit systems. So I think we have to take the housing crisis in a whole, and we have to think like urban planning as a long-term strategy. So I think that's one of our message as urban planners.
Yeah, I don't think that cities are taking the long view these days. They're just too desperate to find affordable homes for people. It's all a short-term, let's deal with what's in front of us right now, as opposed to thinking all those longer questions that you're talking about.
Yes, exactly. We have to think about the longer question, because it's like it's a long-term strategy. Also, one of the concerns we may have, it's like, even if everybody wants dynamic, vibrant, well-designed and affordable cities, the danger here with the superpowers is we abuse the goodwill to accelerate projects that are the opposite effect on what we are trying to accomplish as public servants with this long-term strategy. So we just need to be careful. Like, you know better than me, maybe, that Quebec is no stranger to stories of collusion, overspending, abuse of powers. We can think of the Charbonneau Commission, for example. So,
oh, yeah. I think all Quebecers are aware of the propensity to projects can go that way.
So we just need to be aware that the government is giving a tool to municipalities that, yes, can accelerate more housing, but can also create more of these stories, more opportunities to abuse. And so by passing urban planning regulation with the superpower, is that the risk is that decision can happen behind closed door. And as you said in the beginning, we need more transparency for the citizen. And the public needs to understand the public decision.
Lise, I thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Lise Walczak, spokesperson for the Ordre des urbanistes de Québec. When we come back after the news update, we will talk about what will be going on the sidelines of the Ariana Grande concerts here in Montreal. It has to do with provincial politics.
iHeartRadio is throwing it back.
2010s, the decade.
To the days of huge hits and unforgettable anthems. A non-stop stream of the biggest and best.
Drake, Rihanna, Beyonce, Katy, Gaga, The Weeknd,
and more. All your decade-defining favorites, all in one place.
Hi, it's Katy Perry.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
This is Kesha.
Find 2010's The Decade on the free iHeartRadio app. Preset the station so it's always one tap away.